Attention shoppers, back-to-back blue light specials on aisle 57 and 58.
Welcome to Blue Light Special, the podcast for CPG brand marketers who want to lighten up their hustle in retail and real life. I'm Christine Wright.
And I'm Trevor Lewis. We're here to decode the mysteries of retail and give you some insider hacks to make your brand the talk of the shelf. Let's get into this week's episode. Welcome, and let's get into this week's episode where we explore Gen Alpha, specifically around capturing the immense overlooked spending power of these little kiddos.
So first, let's get into what's happening in our worlds, Trevor. And since we are talking about Gen Alpha later in the show, and you and I both have a Gen Alpha living in our households, it definitely shapes what's happening.
Yeah, so, the first... the mall haul. So if you're on TikTok,
your Gen Alpha is a girl.
Yes.
Mine's a boy. So you know more about the haul.
Yes. The haul is, I'm learning about the haul. And so what this is it's a trend on TikTok. And typically it's from when you went to the mall and you've, spent,
got your haul.
And so what you then come and do is you video or you TikTok, whatever you want to call it, video yourself unveiling all of the goods, but it starts with the bags because...
That's very important, isn't it?
Yes.
My daughter, when she was this age, she always saved the bag. The bags were important.
And they show, brand association. So typically right now, if you go to TikTok and you type in the haul, you're going to see bags of Sephora are definitely one of the more known ones in the 12-year-old girls haul. And yeah, it's an interesting experience, but I think, what that does is they then broadcast that to all of their audience, but they also share it amongst their teen community as well. And I think you obviously see what that can do from an influence standpoint.
Oh gosh, yes. Yes. So have you noticed kind of what they're self-aware about when they are out shopping about? Is it more about just the brands themselves, or is it something that they're paying more attention to?
It's really both. So, at least I can speak from, the experience that I have with my 12-year-old Gen Alpha girl. And so, it's definitely all health and beauty for the most part. They're very much, in tune with what they're looking for when they choose to go into these, physical stores, because they've watched other influencers. And so the brand they're not searching and learning about new brands in store. They're going out and, purchasing it at that point. And so, right now everything is in the health and beauty space. But they're very much familiar with what they're looking for. So a lot of it right now is hair-specific products in our world, and a lot of it is...
looking at ingredients at all, or is she just going to a brand that she saw on TikTok and that's what
it's, I think she really looks at whatever the influencer is highlighting originally.
Okay.
So in certain cases, it's what the product can do. And what are some of the direct benefits there? If the influencer is then highlighting it because it is call it organic or natural products, then that's definitely influence what she is looking for or highlighting. And so ingredients, certainly, a lot of it has to do with what the product is, what are the direct benefits of the product and how are those being articulated to her through the influence. As soon as she hits that store, she knows what product she's going to go get. It's just, do they carry it, or is it readily available where we can pick it up and purchase it right there?
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. Well, I will say my son's not as big of a shopper. We don't do the haul, but he's still in app, and he knows what T-Move is. I mean, that's surprising. He knows what Shein is. That's surprising to me. Yeah. So he is in app. He's on social media all the time. So for me, what's happening in my world is, how can I monitor this kind of from a safe distance so he doesn't feel invaded? And there are some apps out there that I've looked into, and I actually have a subscription to one called Aura. There's another one called Bark. And basically I can turn off TikTok or turn off Snapchat on his phone. I might get alerts that, it's some kind of inappropriate content or something, so I can turn that off. I'll get that notification. I can monitor how long he's on there. I can say, hey, it's 7 o'clock, time to go to bed, and completely shut the phone down. But it's helping to parents monitor all of the social apps that they're in, because that's all it is. It tells me like what he's been on the most all day long, YouTube or Snapchat or something like that. So you can really monitor what they're doing.
Keep me posted, because obviously we're venturing into summer break. So
Yes.
one of our battles
free
is, what are we doing with this free time? So this was kind of the first week in our summer break. And so I was much more relaxed, but the phone is going to be a problem. I can already sense that.
Gaming is going to be the problem.
So I currently don't have one of these apps outside of just the monitoring that you can do specifically on the iPhone. So if I come asking, you're going to have to, continue to share and point me in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's get into our first segment, which is show and tell. This is where Christine and I share
Look what I have got for you.
Christine, what are you paying attention to?
What am I paying attention to in retail? Well, I've just kind of started noticing a trend, and for a while there, everything was omni-channel, and now it's not really new, but it's starting to evolve to omni-commerce. It's not just a channel shoppers might be in. It's more focused on commerce. Where is the purchase happening? Where is money transacting? And now that we're focusing on that, I'm seeing agencies kind of rebrand. I've worked with VML for a long time. Then they became VML Y&R, and then it's VML Y&R Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding the word commerce. And then I just saw Mars agency rebranded to Mars United Commerce. So that commerce, that spend, that money exchange is part of branding now, because it's so important in the shopper experience.
Yeah, I've watched it and seen, obviously, some of these, I'll call it rebrands. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they're definitely leveraging the commerce. I think when we are speaking with the clients, you can kind of understand why. And it's because, even like last year, these were very siloed, specific channels. You had in-app, you had in-store, you had e-commerce. And now they're, the conversations these are blended, right? The shopper journey is not linear.
No.
And so,
going in and out of
yes. And so
where in the world are they making that?
And as a service provider that ultimately wants to consult those brands and help them across all of those channels, I think therein lies where this commerce is, because that's essentially, we're putting it all in the bucket and we're calling it commerce now. And so, yeah, I'm excited to, continue to see how brands navigate this, how agencies play their role in assisting. I'd say by and large part, you're still seeing a lot of the agency work being done on the digital side. But as that translates to more retail, in-store retail media, I think that's probably where they're wanting to kind of blend that, so it's not as confusing, and also so that they can continue to show that they are, a single source and service provider across all channels. So more to come. I don't think we're going to go in-store design display commerce quite yet, but who knows? Who knows? One of the things show and tell that I'm seeing where I recognize was, and I reference these guys quite a bit, dude wipes.
Yes.
They're
everywhere.
They're everywhere, but they just don't utilize the same playbook when it comes to.
I don't know that they have a playbook.
They don't, and I think Sean is the gentleman's name, the CEO that is running it. Is I love his approach to business. I love how he's navigating. I love how he does, his own little shout out series where brands send him stuff where he opens them up and gives them his 2 cents.
I do like that.
But recently they just did something that I think is everyone will be paying attention to. And because they are clearly a disruptor in a very known category.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing really well. But the thing is that I saw was they rethought their social media paid advertising play. So historically on social media, when you're a direct-to-consumer brand as well as sell through the trade or the channel, you would historically drive, you would promote your ads to then convert on your own direct-to-consumer e-commerce. They're not doing that anymore. So they're doing they're running social media ads, but they're driving traffic to where they know buyers convert the best, and that's in store. So they're paying ads and driving traffic to Walmart.com or some of the other big players that because they know that their audience converts there. And so we're going to see which ones get on board. But I can guarantee you that conversation perked a few category buyers' ears when they said, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna spend money on social ads, but we're gonna drive the traffic to you,
to the retail."
to the retailers." So that was a bit of a show and tell. We'll see what other brands kind of jump on that. I don't think that they're by any means foregoing their own direct-to-consumer channel, but they all are very self-aware of where their shoppers buy and convert. And it's really not on their own channel. And so they're essentially, and I think that, the retailers will enjoy that and appreciate that.
Absolutely. Driving traffic to their
Yes.
seller site.
Yep. So that was a little aha moment that I had, something to pay attention to as we continue to kind of move forward.
Good one. And we are going to move on to our next segment, which is our Shop We Love Those Knowledge brands that are getting it right. Two Wipes is one of them. Anybody on your radar besides them?
Well, being here in Kansas City, we're obviously Chiefs fans, but as a brand, they're definitely getting it right. Some of that was recently validated through the schedule announcement, and so they have a significant amount of primetime games.
Monday night games now.
Yep. I heard, through the grapevine that they did check Taylor Swift's touring schedule.
Yeah, scheduled around the touring schedule.
And scheduled around that as well. I know that the streaming services last year, they was kind of the first one to do the Amazon the Amazon game. I think that was the kickoff home opener. They're also going to be the one streaming on Black Friday on that game. So I think someone told me that they are going to play every day of the week except for a Tuesday this week. And so the reason why people want to watch them, right?
You want to watch the Chiefs, you get good ratings.
And that brand is definitely thriving. And so that was one that I would say is continuing to get it right.
Well, my shout out, I'm staying kind of on the sports platform, and I'm just shouting out women's sports in general. I mean, right now, I don't think it could be any bigger. You had Pat Mahomes at the Time 100 Awards, and he was quoted saying, "Tonight, I'd like to raise a glass to a new era in sports, an era when the women's game is finally getting the attention it deserves." And just with him and Brittany being part of owners of the Casey Current and that women's soccer stadium opening and just having great following there, Caitlin Clark bringing record crowds to her opening debut for the WNBA. Angel Reese at the Met Gala. It's just women's sports is everywhere, and I don't think it's a fad or a trend. I think they finally made their place.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm rooting all of it on, and I think it even is closer to me than ever because I do have a 12-year-old, and she is very much involved in sports. And so for her to be able to have these sports idols is new for women, right?
As many as they have.
Yes. And so to be able to look at them and, obviously they're, carving out their own paths, but to be able to have a little girl that can see that this is being done is just so inspirational. So I'm excited to continue to watch it. You're right. I think it's here. They've caught our attention. We're captivated audience. Seeing little kids or hearing little kids that are shooting threes and now saying Caitlin Clark, how cool is that? Yeah. So I'm here for that trend for sure. All right, it's time for Herd on the Streets. Working side by side with retailers and brands on the daily, we are in the know when it comes to trends. Anything new trend-wise?
I don't know that it's new, but I think I've noticed it's making a comeback is store tests. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it's being driven by emerging brands. Retailers want to put them in store, want to give them space, but hey, let's do a store test in certain markets, glean a little data and insights. If we're successful, then we'll roll it out to an all store. And we recently had an electronics permanent inline set, but we're only going to do 50. Let's let it roll out. Let's see how it does. And then, 2025, maybe we'll do full store.
Yeah. low risk, high reward.
Yes.
So yeah, and I think, of course, the brand in most cases is wanting to do a full store rollout.
Sure, but I think it's smart to do.
Oh,
the
it's
test
very
first.
smart, and I
Baby
think
steps.
that it's, if I was launching an emerging brand, it's such a long game,
Yes.
and I think this are clear examples, but it could flop too, right? And so there's so much learning that's happening. The environment is changing. You have an emergence of retail media. You have all of these things that are happening and eating up budget, and creates a kind of a risky environment to do a brand new launch across hundreds of stores without some of that critical insights and learning that they're able to obtain through a test. So while again we love working on those large projects as well, it is the right thing to do. It gives them validation, learnings, and with budgets continuing to be scrutinized, as well as brands continuing to emerge in different categories, it makes perfect sense. And these are larger programs, right? We're not doing a test on a sidekick per se.
No, the one we were doing, like I said, it's permanent, inline, high price point on the product.
Yes.
So let's test it.
Yep.
Okay, Gen Alpha. In the pantry for snacks. I want to hear some Gen Alpha slang. Tell me some. Like, what's bet? What's that mean?
Like, bet.
What's bet?
Like, bet that.
What's it mean?
Like, I can probably do that.
What about goat?
Oh, you're a goat? Like,
What's it stand for? Does it stand for something?
like you're an OG.
What's goat? Isn't it like
LeBron James, like he's
the
a goat. Yeah, like he's been playing for like a long time. Like,
okay, so
he's
like
a goat.
greatest of all time?
Yeah.
Okay. I at least know that one. What's sus?
You're suspicious.
You got food in your mouth, dude, and it's a Pop-Tart at that. Suspicious?
Mm-hmm.
Like a girl is sus, like suspect, like suspicious. What's Riz? Do I got Riz?
Mom, you got no.
Come on.
It's
What
like
is
when
it?
you hit on someone.
Oh, well, yeah, Mom, don't have that. Mom ain't Rizzy. What's? I know bussin'.
Oh, that's good. It's busting.
Bussin', chocolate Pop-Tart, bussin'. What's cat?
That's not true. That's cat.
That's cap. That's
Yeah.
not true. What's skibby?
Oh, I don't know. Like, you're so skibbity toilet beta.
Beta, skibbity, toilet,
Beta.
beta. What the heck is that?
I don't know.
But it means something?
Yeah.
What's
Well, it doesn't really mean anything.
oh, it's just Coolio.
Yeah. Like, you're so skibbity toilet beta.
Skibbity toilet beta. I'm skibbity toilet beta. One more that I don't know. I don't have any more. Really? You're drinking a Fanta, eating a chocolate Pop-Tart before baseball. Ew. I got all nothing else? Boring. All right. Peace out, Boy Scout. I'm Riz.
So I got another one up in my mouth. What the Sigma?
Oh, what's the
What's up, brother?
Yeah, that. What's up, brother? Tuesday. What's the Tuesday part?
Tuesday. Special teams, special plays, special players.
Tuesday. What's up, brother?
Good. Oh. Good rain.
Hi, Layla. Can you tell me what Sigma means?
Sigma means like when you think you're better, like I don't know, like when you're cool.
Okay. Can you tell me what Riz means?
When you like are talking to a boy or a girl, and then you guys like flirt. So it Riz means.
Okay. And what about Skibby?
Skibbity.
Skibbity.
I don't know. It's just like a funny word that somebody just started randomly saying on the internet, and then just people just start saying it to be funny. It's like something you say when you're like goofing around.
Oh, was it on TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay. What about my bad?
My bad. This is like sorry. Like, that was my fault.
What about my bad G?
My bad G means, like, that was my fault. G, like, say, if you said, like, I'm sorry, Billy Bob. Like, you're just, like, whoever you're saying my bad to, you just call him G. And G means goat. And goat means the greatest of all time. So,
Thanks, Layla, for the information.
you're welcome.
So, I think after all of that, we are going to jump into our main topic, which we mentioned was Gen Alpha. And why did we choose to talk about this demographic? I will say I read a quote the other day that kind of made me step back and be like, wow, that's true. And the quote was, every organization, every brand, every product is just one generation away from extinction. So I think it's very important that we look at Gen Alpha now. What is Gen Alpha and why did we decide to talk about this? You and I especially, we have them in our household.
Yeah.
So we know firsthand what their influence.
Yeah, well, it's definitely relevant. My pockets are definitely bleeding, and so I guess it's all top of mind. But just to kind of level set, the generation of Gen Alpha is born between 2010 and 2024.
It's a big span too.
It is. It is. I think I may have proposed a question on, either internally or in the social forum, which is, are they the most informed shopper that hits the store? And I think you could make an argument that there is no argument because they are, and it's the relevance of what social media plays.
They're the digital world. They don't know any difference.
Yes.
Information has been right in front of them from the get-go.
Specifically shopping information,
Yes.
right? Like, we're still relatively new in this digital shopping experience. Now, obviously, it's been around for a while, but they were probably the first generation it was there when they were born.
We had to adopt it.
Yes.
That's the norm for them.
It is absolutely in the norm for them. And so I think that's number one why we're paying attention to it. Obviously, their level of influence is not really segmented at age anymore. And so you're able to have a 12-year-old who can influence the masses because of their own social following. Not that they're even necessarily just a consumer of TikToks, like can produce the content as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you have you have older people looking at them for trends and culture and what's happening in terms of what may be coming. That's a great place to plug into. So outside of their just sheer impact of what is being purchased in store,
Well, their spending power, at least according to statistics,
Mhm.
is expected to reach 5.46 trillion. That's amazing. Brands definitely have to know about this demographic and how to influence them and how to influence that person.
Yeah. And if you're going to start, let's just pretend you're going to start a brand today. The number one channel that you're absolutely going to have is social media. Why? It's free to start. And you know that you have to go there. So, before there was many, legacy brands that are around that did not start with social media.
They didn't start there.
Their play was, we need lots of cash because we're going to go on the distribution play. And so we need to get in store. And we're going to introduce our brand for the first time in store. We're going to convert shoppers for the first time in store. Everything was in store. Not anymore. We're going to create awareness for the first time on social media. We're probably going to influence the digital shopping cart for the first time from social media. And so the game is just flipped.
Well, some statistics, since I was pulling some of those and I have them readily available, they're pretty shocking. The typical Gen Alpha parent, which is us, estimates that nearly half of all household spending is impacted by their child's opinion. That's huge. Or the amount of money the typical Gen Alpha child has to spend each week is $45, and that's over $2,300 a year. You add that up. And 95% of Gen Alpha parents learn about new brands of products or services from their child. 95%.
Wow. I didn't know all that.
That's huge. That is huge. And the last one, 90% of Gen Alpha children are already earning their own money in at least one way. And I think we talked about a few episodes ago kind of the spending power of just our kids with their little Venmo or green light credit cards, and they're earning money and it goes on that card and then they use it like a debit card.
Yep.
So they're actual purchasers. Yes, they're influencing, but they're also actual purchasers too.
Yeah, and they have a unique way of generating funds too, right? In our world, I mentioned earlier that we're in summer break, and so we got a lot of old toys and old things that are in
Does
our
your daughter go on and like resell?
absolutely.
Yeah, mine, like, even though she's not, well, yeah, she's Gen Alpha still. She went on and would resell her clothes.
Yep.
Just-
Poshmark, is that what it?
Well, she's,
One of
I
them.
want to buy something, and so she'd go right her closet and find some stuff she didn't wear anymore. And
Yep.
it was like selling away all those, but she was making her own money so that she
Yep.
could spend again.
And then they put it, and I think we've talked about this before. Is like Amazon, they have built shopping carts. These kids do.
Oh yes.
And they watch the shopping cart, and as soon as one of those they get a notification just like we do that there's been a 10 or 15% price discount. And they're coming, hey, look,
Yeah, it's on
you
sale.
could have bought this then, or you can buy it now and save a little bit. And it's like, okay, you're right. Let's buy it now.
Bargain shoppers.
So they're bargain shoppers. They've Layla's also into going and doing the thrift thing, and then coming back and finding those and reselling those as well.
It's big.
So not only can they have the ease of just how they can purchase, but they're also able to fund some of their desired purchases as well. So yeah, this Gen Alpha, a little bit scary, a little bit
They have a lot of
scary.
power. They do have a lot of power. Well, as we were researching Gen Alpha, because even though we have one, I really didn't know all that much about
I did not.
It's become fascinating to me. I kind of wanted to see what's a brand or a retailer that's actually targeting them. What are they doing? And I found an example from Claire's, which, I mean, we all know Claire's. We've all taken our teen daughters to
Yeah.
get ear piercing in their freestanding storefronts, but now they're in Walmart. And now they're in Walgreens.
Purple.
They're kind of, yes, it's
Yeah.
a pop-up shop in there. So Claire's did to better appeal to Gen Alpha shoppers. The retailer assembled new brand ambassadors to drive content and marketing. And the brand ambassadors were there to guide creative strategy of content, communications, brand activations, and in-store experiences. And some of the influencers partnering with Claire's included a filmmaker, an up-and-coming chef, and a skateboarder. Just transitioning your strategy to focus on Gen Alpha and utilizing influencers, and then you kind of have to go into their world. And what influencers am I going to use? A chef, a skateboarder.
Yeah.
It just fascinates me that that's happening.
Yeah, and I think we even, one is I just love how these brands, are getting creative.
They are. They're stepping outside of the box.
Yes, they're absolutely doing that. And we're at the beginning. We're at the forefront of a lot of this.
Definitely the infancy stage.
Yes, so I'm excited to continue to see, where this goes, how it continues to get incorporated, how we see those themes or those campaigns show up inside of physical retail as well. Because the reality is they do like going to the store. Gen Alpha.
Like shopping, period. Whether it's online, in app, in store, whatever, just the shopping experience in itself, they love it.
Yep. And so one of the other things we did is kind of leading up to this show is kind of look at what are some of the top retailers.
Surprised.
Yeah. What's the first one?
Well, the top 5, the first one is Walmart,
Uh-huh.
Amazon, Target, Nike's a big one, of course.
Yeah.
My kids, they buy all the the specialty Nikes that you
Yeah.
really have to save up for and buy online. But this one shocked me, GameStop. However, all my Gen Alpha, his boy, Braxton, gaming. And even when we're in gaming, we're buying skins and all the outfits and dressing them. And oh my gosh, it's craziness. But GameStop surprised me. And Sephora came in at number 10.
Yep.
Yeah. A couple other ones. Apple didn't surprise me. Lego surprised me.
Yeah.
Starbucks did not. But Gen Alpha loves the luxury brands, and they will gravitate towards high-end brands.
Yep.
Yeah.
marketing to Gen Alpha. Anything that come from this that stood out?
I mean, I know we have a list here, emphasize visuals and interactivity, use humor. The big thing for me, just because my Gen Alpha games, is that just the game, they call it gamification, build that into your brand strategy, because that's what they gravitate towards. It's gaming. Everything gaming was big for him, and that's how you're going to grab his attention.
Yeah, in my world, I'll say it's, if I just kind of observe Layla's behavior, she tends to really gravitate to the influencers that are authentic, and then that by default, explores the brands that are then, authentic as well. Now, I think that's why TikTok does so well there, is because it's so relatable.
Yes.
It's not a high quality production, advertising campaign that's being shot. They feel relatable to that person because of whatever reason that's there, but they also, as they're consuming the content, it feels very authentic. And a lot of it has to do with this
feel they're being sold.
Yeah.
I think it's down on their level, and they're just interacting with someone close to their age, on the same level, kind of just a friend, or somebody that they would know from school. It's very relatable.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I think we covered a lot with Gen Alpha, but in concluding just how huge this demographic is and what brands have to pay attention to, is we're only just beginning, like you said, to understand this audience, transitioning to teens, but early observations are that they are a gateway. They have the attention of and influence over household leaders, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And if captured, brands can form a connection that grows alongside these savvy, influential shoppers, creating impact for years to come. And in today's age of unpredictability, the power of that potential is endless. And I think that's a powerful statement, that, gosh, brands are not just influencing a segment that physically purchases, but that segment also influences the purchases of other demographics.
Yep.
So it's huge.
And if anyone's just curious, so again, the anyone that's older than or born above 2010 kind of fits in this Gen Alpha category.
Layla's
2012 is when she was born. So if you're just generally curious, what I would encourage you to consider is, you probably know someone that's in this age group. Take them with you on your next, trip to Target, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens.
You might need a translator.
You might need a translator, but just watch. Ask them to, go down any aisle and say, hey, show me a brand that you knew about before you stepped in here, and how did you know about it? Or just watch what they do and what categories they just naturally, walk in and gravitate to.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely lessons right there in doing that small little experiment. I know I've done it, and so it's incredible to see. And then I think that if I was a brand manager, I would literally probably go to a local school and say, hey, can I rent 20 or 30 kids, because I want to do an experiment.
Give them a little money and just observe.
And just observe what they do, what they choose to buy, why they choose to buy it. And I almost guarantee you that you'll learn something through this experiment that you could then come back and at least consider or apply.
Definitely a focus group worth investing.
Yes.
Definitely.
All right, so for our last segments, we want to give you a little glimpse into our own minds. We all have those moments where we reflect, learn, and remind ourselves of certain truths. For me, it's my memo to myself, and for Christine, it's her I am for the day. It's a chance for us to be a bit vulnerable, share our thoughts, and maybe some of it will resonate with you. So for mine, it's really a verse, but it's to whom much is given, much will be required.
Very true. Very true.
So that was it for me.
That was you.
That was
very profound.
Yeah.
Today.
It was. It. I heard it. It resonated. I recorded on my memo to myself on the way in.
Definitely resonates.
And I was like, yeah, that's it for sure.
That's definitely it. Well, my I am comes from my group of accountability partners I have every morning. Drinking our coffee, we text each other and say, what are you today? And today I am flawed. And that just comes from again, I think we all just kind of get into a mode of life and we don't recognize that we all have faults. You really do. I mean, I'm no better at this, at least not every day. And just recognizing and embracing that, yes, I have imperfections, but also others do too. So show yourself some grace,
Yes.
show others some grace, and kind of goes along with you don't know what someone's going through kind of thing.
Yeah, it's real. And yeah, again, I think I say this every time, but that is a great one. And it's also one to just remember, right?
Yeah,
That
we kind of forget that we are flawed.
we do. We
Definitely.
do. And flawed as professionals, flawed as parents, flawed as leaders, flawed
Yes,
as
flawed
in every aspect.
Yes.
There's, it's not perfect.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We're grateful to have you along for the ride as we lighten up your hustle through retail in real life.
Thanks for listening and keep your questions and comments coming. We love tuning into what you want to know about helping your brand stand out in store. Please like and share the podcast. We appreciate you helping getting the word out about Blue Light Special. And finally, join us for next week's episode where we will dig into mastering display quality standards, ensuring on time and on budget delivery with IDD's own Quentin Balls. How long was it? Did we talk long enough?
This podcast is a production of In-Store Design Display, the go-to expert for guiding and elevating your in-store experience. Our wordsmith, Julie Edge, and mix master, Jackie Vera, make all of this possible. So a big thanks to them and the entire team at In-Store Design Display.
Stay tuned for our next episode on YouTube or wherever you consume podcasts. We'd love to hear from our listeners, so please drop us a line and tell us what you want to hear about retail and real life.